young men are leaning extremely conservative nowadays.
Right.
Oh yeah.
That was 3 days ago.
Yeah, and what that means for the future and stuff. If you have women that don't look to get married, and you don't have a revival of conservative values or traditional values among women the same way that you do among young men, because if you look at that graph or whatever, they had never been further apart, men and women, their political leanings. Women are voting. Women exclusively, young unmarried women are keeping the Democrat Party alive. It seems like every other group is actually voting for, or is at least not strongly Democrat. And at the end of the day, if men can't make families, then they make war.
No, my prediction here is
really
that
does happen.
the Democrats are done. The Democrats are done with this metric, showing that 12th grade boys are like 4-1 conservative, and the women are like I think it's 3-1 liberal. Those young women will be conservative in 5 years.
I don't think there's any conflict between what you're saying and what I'm saying, because you're saying the Democrats are done probably because
those
of
women
voting.
in 5 years will be conservative.
I'm saying that young men that don't have the option of starting families, they won't end up with families because they're. If you look at the numbers that the guy that this video presented don't line up with that at all. But
they're going to have families, and I'll tell you why. It's because men are object-oriented and women are subject-oriented, and the young women who have strong emotional desires for socializing, men are going to start to be pulled in the men's direction, not the other way around.
But isn't the problem that this? I mean, you're saying 5 years, but that's basically their senior year of college. And the reason that women are predominantly Democrat voters is because they're also the predominant college attendees. They're the people that are going.
And they're going to be saddled with massive debt and unable to live on their own.
So So they're going to have to appeal to the conservative, construction worker.
It's not that they have to. It's that women are going to go out. What are the tropes and the stereotypes? Women talk about men talk about things. If that is only a tendency, that women are more interested in social interactions between men and women, and men are interested in their goals or whatever, women will be seeking ways to interact with men. I don't see there's going to be a scenario, and we already see it now in the data, where you have young men who are Democrats, and it appears to be because they're what biologists call, and again, this is a legitimate, literal term, sneaky fuckers. This is the actual biological term. Biologists use the term sneaky fucker to describe a situation where you say you have the alpha male.
Oh, I've heard about this.
Yeah, the sneaky fucker sneaks in the middle of the night, bangs the women to procreate. So you have the man who bangs on his chest and and lifts muscles and attracts women. And then you have the sneaky fucker who sneaks in and weasels his way. That's the male feminist.
Yeah.
That's the male feminist.
Right.
But with young men skewing more and more conservative, if women want to have these social interactions with men, they're going to have to meet men where they're going.
There's not enough women that want to.
So, okay.
I don't think you understand what they want. The fact that we can see social contagion on Instagram, young women developing Tourette's, it's not an issue of women coming together and having a women's meeting and being like, we're not going to listen to these men. It's that they're going to be talking about the guys they like, and all the guys are going to be conservative. So something's going to have to break where the women are talking to each other, and they're going to be like, but he's not woke. And they're like, there's no other guy. Right. All the guys at school, the athletes, the musicians, the rock stars, the writers, they're all skewing conservative. Any woman who wants to date a guy is going to be dating a guy who's moderate to conservative. And then they're going to have to start listening to these other women who are going to be saying things like, well, you're dating this far right guy. And they'll be like, who are you dating? Nobody?
Yeah.
Not a single person?
Well, I think it's going to depend on if they want to have families, because I've never really understood why you would date a left-leaning man when it comes to starting a family, because so rarely are they actually on that path anyways. So I'm surprised this trend hasn't already reverted, where women, as they get into their late 20s or early 30s, they start to pursue more conservative-leaning men because they want to have kids.
Women become more conservative after they get married. And I think culturally right now, marriage is not a priority for men or women. I think that there are a lot of women who should prioritize, but I think in both spheres, there are men who are like, I'm conservative, but I'm going to put off getting married or whatever else. It's true in both spaces. Both men and women should want marriage for it to become a more noteworthy trend. I will say, you have to remember that after 2016, there were all these feminist journalists who came out saying, I can remember one article specifically being like, I keep sleeping with this Trump supporter and I can't stop. Like, he's everything I hate, but I really want to sleep with him. So like, there is obviously something to what
Story
women are. Yeah, that happens to you all the time. Can't stop sleeping. Anyways,
I can't stop sleeping with Trump supporters.
Male Trump supporters specifically.
I wish I could stop, but I can't.
No, but it's interesting because I think there is a desire among women for traditionally male attributes in a way that's undeniable. So the majority of women in every age group, every generation right now identifies as a feminist, right? It's something like between 53 to 67% in every generation. But obviously that's not true for the number of men who identify as a male feminist. So how do they partner up? It either means that they're feminists in name only, they're willing to give it up, and when they get married, they, again, lots of couples become more.
Most women are, if I understand correctly, most women are not super committed to politics. Like, they're more interested in like their life.
I think there's a huge spectrum, right? And, you know, I think women do talk about men. They also just generally are more interested in social dynamics. And that is one of the benefits of having women in society, is they're going to tell you who's fighting and all sorts of things. I mean, remember the stereotype of the powerful businessman whose wife then throws a dinner party where he networks with whoever, right? Like, there is a positive symbiotic relationship between men and women in traditionally gendered roles. I think the trend of teenage boys becoming more conservative will inspire some teenage girls to be more openly conservative, but I think generally it's always on the cusp anyway. So
there's population collapse coming from multiple countries. It's happening in the West. We got like 1.2 or something like that kids per couple per person. There's a population collapse coming. There's a significant portion of women that don't ever want to get married. The people that,
but men too. I mean, I think,
but it's not as pronounced with men, because men don't, like, women look for like specific things in guys. Guys look for women. Like, it's real different what women are looking for in a man, and what a man is looking for. But there's no
incentive for men to get married right now, really. Like, you could partner up with a girl, you could have her move in, you could pay for her, you guys could have a bunch of kids. Like, for women, they don't want to get married because they think in some way they'll be oppressed. But actually, there are all sorts of legal and financial reasons for women to want marriage. Yep. So it's complete brainwashing. So unless men are also loudly speaking about why marriage is good, we'll just continue down this trend of girls being like, I don't think so. Except for this new cultural element, which is that men are starting to be more openly conservative at a younger age.
Well, this is a bit of a tangent, but I think it's important to consider, you know, Japan, and there's other nations where you've seen these kind of population implosions, China too, to a certain extent. Yeah. And it's quite evident that the United States is in that, as well as most of, you know, Western Europe and things like that. I'm not at all convinced that we aren't going to just kind of spiral into that. Like, I know
that was the point that I was trying to make in the first place, is like, because of the way that the population or the marriage statistics and stuff are, and the number of young men that are not getting married and that aren't going to be. If you have young men that don't get into families, they get into fights, they get into trouble, and that means they get into war, and that is something that has happened throughout history. And as long as we have young men that are not married and can't meet women, they have no reason to settle down. Like you're saying, men don't have a reason to settle down. Women give men the reason to chill out, because they want to hang out with the girl, they want to get laid, they want to hang out with their wife, whatever. If they don't have that reason, they want to go out and get buck wild.
That's what happens.
And my point is that we are seeing this data showing 12th grade boys are skewing conservative and 12th grade girls are skewing liberal. And give that a few years, and the women are going to drift towards the men, not the other way around.
It's possible. Dave Smith has a great bit, which I will not do justice, so I will not even try. But it was about how his wife, she finds him in this alley. He's an alley cat, and then she just lays out milk and slowly lures him into the house. And I feel like that's the problem, is that when you have a more leftist leaning woman, they're not going to put out that saucer of milk because they're not interested in attracting the alley cat male. So, like, when will that trend change where the women actually want to settle down? And I'm not sure that it will happen. I don't know.
I think they are way more open to it than society. I
think the issue is this. Young men are object-oriented, typically. young women are subject-oriented, typically. That means if a guy is a skateboarder, he's going to find himself hanging out with a bunch of other guys skateboarding. They're going to be, so his draw will be, I want to go skateboard with my friends. The young women, their draw will be, I want to engage in socialization. The men are off skateboarding all with each other, sharing ideas, making jokes, being offensive, and being guys. They're skewing conservative. They're listening to Jordan Peterson. They're listening to Andrew Tate. One day at the park, you've got a handful of young guys skateboarding and a handful of girls, and those guys are like, hey, these girls are pretty attractive. Then the girls are going to reach some kind of impasse with, wow, they like one of those guys was playing an Andrew Tate video. We can't be associated with that. One of those women is going to be like, I kind of want to be hanging out with some of these guys. Like like we are social creatures more so than the men are. That means that there's going to be competition among the women in terms of socializing to go to these guys. This is why, like you mentioned, women become more conservative when they get married. That same poll, I think, is going to happen, and it's going to realign young women towards more moderate and conservative views.
From your lips to God's ears, man. I don't know. We'll see.
I think when men and women interact, especially when they get married, a lot of stuff changes. I mean, studies bear out that when couples have kids, they become more religious. They attend church service more regularly. There are stuff that I think when you are a single individual, you don't prioritize in your life because you're
it's not as important.
Right. Your goals are just different. But as soon as you start having this intense bond to someone else through marriage and having children with them, everything shifts. And so it's just interesting that it's reaching teenage boys, and the decisions that they make, like you're saying, by the time they're senior in college will be very different than the two generations before them.
Yeah. Well, and I think my hope is that there's it's quite evident to me that there's a lot of sadness and loneliness and purposelessness and rudderlessness. I'm going to stop saying this is too hard, amongst young people in this country. And like so much of just empirically speaking, there's so much of what humans' passion and purpose is existing is to be a parent, to be a father, a mother. And I just pray that, like, even though I'm not religious, I pray that people will find that pathway to purpose once again, because it's quite clear to me that there's a lot of people that are desperate.
Yeah, and I think the purposeless feeds are our culture's self-obsession, right? Like
True.
If you have nothing to do or work on, you tend to just be completely obsessed with whatever's happening inside your own head.
Yes.
Which
narcissistic, egotistical,
right.
and also psychotic. I mean, like you basically go crazy.
Right. And you start to think like, well, everyone seems happier than I am. And it's because you're not living for fulfillment. I mean, the things that the emotional gratification, sorry, I can't talk at all. The emotional gratification of achieving something is so important to the human psyche that if we live in a culture where you just get handed a lot of stuff, to Tim's earlier point, then you never feel that true satisfaction. It's very difficult to find a direction for your life because you can't find something that makes you feel fulfilled.
And largely because there's no self-sacrifice involved in any of their behaviors. Mm-hmm. And if you're not ever doing anything for others, it's very hard to feel any sense of value.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
I guess we'll see. The one thing I think that matters too is we bring up quite a bit that in the 2000s, conservatives just had more kids. Yeah. So we're seeing this trend very likely due to just sheer numbers.
Yeah. Well, and that trend will maintain, if not grow.
Absolutely. Yeah. The liberals are more likely to abort their kids and sterilize their kids. Right. That's it. Mm-hmm. You can't beat math, baby.
No. That trajectory is going to go parabolic potentially.
I've seen too many of these stories, right? And I know the feminists are going to lose their minds over this. There's the New York Post where the woman was like, I'm struggling to find a man who makes the same amount of money as me. I'm telling you, like, we see these trends in data. It doesn't mean it's absolute. It doesn't mean I'm correct.
Of course.
100%. I'm saying I see this as a possibility. You've got these women who are trying to be with men, but it's like, you're 35, you make $60,000 a year, and you're trying to date a 35-year-old guy who makes $60,000 a year. Guess what? That 35-year-old guy who makes $60K a year, he could be doing better, but he's dating a 28-year-old. Mm-hmm. He's got money, he's got an apartment. He's not. Why would he date you? And that bothers feminists quite a bit. But that's the New York Post reporting that's right. Happening.
No, that's what happens. Of course.
I mean, Jordan Peterson talked about the IQ scale for women, right? Like it's much harder for high IQ women to find partners because they need someone who's smarter than them. Like I've always said, it would be difficult for me to date someone who is less conservative than I am because it would feel like a mismatch, right?
Why is it harder for women to find, if they're high IQ, to find a high IQ mate? I don't understand.
Because there are fewer high IQ mates.
Yeah.
There's less men that are intelligent?
No. For them to choose from.
If you have to be smarter,
sure. It narrows their.
There's not as many.
Right.
Of them,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
It's not that they don't exist.
So this is the thing. Like a really dumb woman,
she's got lots of options.
but it's easy to date up, and you know, that's an interesting thing. Like, how do you describe it for men? Women want to date up. That's what they call it, right?
Yeah.
Someone who is more powerful, more attractive, wealthier, more capable.
Across and up, men date across and down.
Men is across and down.
Men will date across and
so they don't want a woman that's smarter.
Not just smarter, but social mobility, money, and stuff like that. So like if you start date, if you get with a girl and she doesn't make more money than you, one of the best predictors one of the high predictors of divorce is if she does make more money. Like if she starts making more money, you're probably going to end up in a divorce.
The left hates the data on this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because it's reality, and
because they're communists don't want to accept that men are attracted to appearance and women. I should say this, that men have a tendency to be attracted towards appearance to a great degree, and women have a tendency to be attracted towards power and status to a great degree.
Which boils down to men are attracted to women that look able to produce offspring, and women are attracted to men that look able to protect them.
Yep.
It's that. So if you're rich, you got a lot of money, you have resources, you can protect women. Yeah. You're big and strong, you're physically fit, you can protect women.
Wait, so you're telling me that the immutable laws of human nature remain intact, Phil?
You know, let's talk about men and women and penises and vaginas. You know who's got what? You know, because
it's getting confusing these days.
Apparently.
Well, I was just thinking about it because I was like, have I dated a woman that's smarter than me? But then I'm like, am I too narcissistic to even acknowledge if I've dated a woman that's smarter than me?
Have you ever had an attraction to someone who sometimes feels like wearing pants?
Yes.
That makes you bisexual.
Wait. I've had girlfriends who have worn pants.
Bisexual.
I've had girls who have worn pants. You tricked me.
No. Men wear pants, women wear dresses.
Oh.
And if a woman sometimes decides to wear pants, then she's non-binary. She's non-binary. Right?
Because really questioning my wardrobe choices tonight.
Yeah, well, Hannah Claire over here is a guy.
Oh, interesting.
I'm just one of the boys. Because
he is wearing
pants. Hannah Claire
is wearing pants.
That's right.
Oh my goodness!
I think one time I did a podcast with Seamus, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't think women should be able to wear dresses, but I realize I've sort of lost this battle.
Dresses,
or shouldn't be able to wear pants."
Seamus said that.
Of course, Seamus said that. Who else?
Quick shout out to Seamus. I will be on his show on Thursday. Check that out.
Wait, he doesn't want women wearing pants?
Yeah, but he realizes he's lost that battle.
On that one. It's like as soon as you put the so. If the argument is that social constructs define whether you're a man or a woman, that's literally the point.
Yeah.
So if like someone who is male decides one day to wear a dress, if you're straight, you should be attracted to them. That's the argument we get from the left. But it literally is. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.